Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here. Grateful recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe. Leave the video a like, leave me a comment, and by all means, share it with someone who might get something out of it. Other than that, how is everybody today, guys? What a gorgeous day. 89 degrees, sunny Saturday here in Boston. And I'm slowly getting back to work. I was actually out this morning, and just going a quick little update on the surgery recuperating. And again, I'm not lifting anything overly heavy. But I'm finding that by not taking medication, I can literally feel exactly what's going on with me, and I'm getting healthy, and I'm getting ready to start. Well, yeah, I already have started getting back into work a little bit, which is fantastic. I'm hoping in another week or so I'll be able to start hitting the gym again, and that's amazing, right? And that's because of everything that I'm doing. It's because of the culmination of being healthy and just being the best person I can and doing the best I can, and having taken the time I needed to rest in the beginning, and what's going on. But guys, we're going to talk about the Just for Today NA meditation. The topic for the day is new levels of honesty, and I love this because this is big for me, right? I'm finding, and well, let me read it first. Oftentimes we have found we were experts at self-deception. And then the affirmation is, just for today, I will be quiet and still, listening for the voice of truth in myself, and I will honor the truth that I find. And there's a whole big paragraph in between. That's what we're going to talk about, basically, guys. It's amazing to me, and so oftentimes, I think I mentioned it the other night when I was telling the same story. Like, that's the most honest version of stories. And that's the thing, guys. Today, as I go back over things and I look at my experiences and I'm using them to share and to let somebody know either, I've been through something similar, I'm noticing, and it's not even intentional at this point, it's just because I'm being intentional with just trying to be the best person I can, and just because of all the healing and all the work that I've been doing, I'm finding after I say something, I look back and go, wow, like that's not how I used to say that, that's not how I used to see things. Because guys, that was the whole thing. I was deceiving myself. I was deceiving myself in my active addiction so much that I didn't know which end was up. I didn't know what was the truth anymore. And now today, my head is getting clear, and I look back on things, and you know what? The biggest reason for it, guys, is just being honest feels so incredibly good. You know what I mean? Like, I never have to sit there and wonder what I said to somebody because I just tell the truth at all times. Particularly when it's difficult, because that's when the biggest rewards come out of it. But what I'm noticing is I'm going back over and just, in any given situation, whether at a meeting, whether talking to somebody, whether sharing my experience, strength, and hope with somebody, anywhere, I'm finding that when I go back over and we're talking about the things in my life history, even at the hospital this past weekend, I was like, I'm finding myself being so open and honest. And the way I see things and tell things today have completely flipped. Like and I'll give you a fantastic example. I lost my shop back in Bellingham, and here's the thing. I'm going to tell you honestly. My landlord was a real crooked guy, but I knew that getting into that, and I chose to do that, right? He wanted me to get a car dealership license, and so I saved like $30,000 in repair work from him, and we were going to use that money. And as soon as he found out that I wasn't going to be able to get the license, and he realized he was going to have to pay me my 30 grand, he decided to just opt out just to throw me out of the shop instead. That put me into a whirlwind of shit. But again, all these things happened because, guys, I had warrants out for my arrest. I was using massive amounts of drugs. I couldn't go to the police and report any of this. I couldn't, literally, my hands were tied, and people saw that, and they took advantage of it. But when I would tell the stories, I would tell them in such a different light that, just to really victimize me. And again, that was, yes, he victimized me, but I allowed it, right? He knew full well I was high as a kite. As a matter of fact, the electricity had been in his name for the longest time. When the electricity got shut off because I was supposed to put it in my own name, I couldn't be bothered because I was too busy getting high, and I was running my shop off a generator. I mean, no wonder the guy threw me out. It was his building, and I was just making a mockery of it, And that's the thing. I've never, and granted, he has his culpability in it, but again, I was renting from him and partnering with him, knowing full well he had done this to every other person. Somehow I thought I was special because I was of such a value to him. And it was just a matter of time until he lost his dealer license up the street in Bellingham, and I was no longer right next door to where he was selling cars for them to go for me to repair them. It was no longer convenient for him, so it made more sense for him to throw my ass out and then rent the shop out for full value. Simple as that. But I never saw it that way, and that's the thing, guys. as you get clean and sober, and as you get better, as you heal, especially when you take it to the next level, and you do the work like I have, and again, I'm not saying you could, anybody has, when anybody's working their program to the best of their ability, you'll find more and more as time goes on. All these stories that you told, all the way when you look back at your history, the way you see it is different, because I'm seeing it's not even that I intentionally lied about it, but I was just deceiving myself so I wouldn't have to acknowledge my culpability in all these things because it was too much to bear. Now that I've overcome that and I'm in a better light and I'm in the best place I've ever been in my life, I don't have a problem with that anymore. I can deal with that today. Because now I understand if I want to keep from repeating those mistakes, I've got to look at the patterns. They're the real patterns, the real behaviors, the real thoughts, the real actions that got me into those situations, and that's exactly what I do today. And it's amazing to me. I love when I see a topic, I'm like, oh yeah, that one hits home, and that's why I do these videos on them so much, guys, because they're so relatable, and it's incredibly true. I love, and again, you know what? It's funny because it's a lot harder to tell the stories now because I don't come out looking anywhere, anywhere is clean when I tell the stories today, but they're authentic and they're honest, and it's what's making me heal because I'm telling them from the God's honest truth instead of having to take on a victim mentality so I don't look like such an idiot, because you know what, I made terrible mistakes and I was never an idiot. I was always a very intelligent person, but I was making horrible choices, and I was getting horrible rewards for my horrible choices. Simple as that. I was allowing myself to get in some of the most ridiculous situations. I went into business with a guy that I knew had just screwed every single person I know, and yet somehow I thought, well, he won't do that to me because I'll make myself that valuable to him. Well, eventually it got to the point where it was more valuable to him, the building, than having me in it, because I would, he'd have to tow cars 4 cities away for me to repair them, so it didn't make any sense for him, and he threw me out that quickly. And I didn't have a leg to stand on. I didn't have a lease. I didn't have a rental agreement. I didn't have anything on paper saying that he owed me $30,000. We just did it on a handshake deal. Like, you can't do those things, guys, particularly when you're dealing with somebody who knows that it's scrupulous, conniving, backstabbing, person, and that's what I did, and I didn't have a leg to stand on, and further down the road, I put myself in another bad spot. I moved from one idiot to the next, and somebody knew I had warrants out for my arrest, and I used to tell the story, somebody kicked in the back door of my shop and stole my tools. No, that's not what happened. The guy who was selling cars out of the dealership stole my toolbox, gave it to his brother, and is because he was selling cars. His brothers are not paying him money because he was a heroin addict, and I had warrants out for my arrest, and there was nothing I could do. And by the time I finally got arrested and then went to the police station and said, hey, let's go get my tools back, they're like, prove it, nothing you can do about it. And I lost $500,000 in tools, and to this day I know who took them, I know where they went, and there's nothing I can do about it because time's gone by and I didn't act upon it. That's a tough one, guys. That's a tough one. I just told that for the first time right now. Like, that's a hard dude. I literally ended up homeless on the streets, and I couldn't go work in garages, and that was literally, I went to the best school in the country, auto diesel mechanics, graduated top of my class, worked in the top dealerships where I lost my driver's license, and then I ended up opening my own business because I didn't have a driver's license. Nobody could hire me for my driving record, and I was doing really well in the thriving shop, except then that went under because of the drugs. And then I allowed somebody to steal all my tools, and because of a couple, nonsense warrants, I didn't go take care of them, and I lost $500,000 in tools and equipment. Like, that's terrible. But that's the culpability of it, guys. And if I don't look at it honestly, I run the risk of doing it again. You've got, as you get more clean time, and as you want to start to make changes in your life, you can't fool yourself and then still take the lessons from them. And guys, if you want to stop repeating patterns, you've got to find out where the lesson in the behavior is and then change it. And I can't do any of that. And I think because I'm being willing to be so open and honest, and at my own cost, but guys, it's done and over. And if there's no point in making up stories, because you know what, I'm sure nobody believes half the shit that I used to say anyway. You know what I mean? And I thought it was so believable, and I thought, but no, it's just, I was embarrassed to admit that I, over some petty nonsense, running around worrying about getting high, as opposed to worrying about my $500,000 in tools, when I knew somebody had sent him to another garage out in Pittsburgh and never followed up with it. And that's terrible, guys. It's absolutely terrible. It's disgusting. It's embarrassing. But I just put that out online for the first time, and it's the God's honest truth. you know, shameful. I'm actually having a hard time getting over even talking. You know, that was a hard one. That was the one I was going to start to say at the beginning of the video, and I almost couldn't. But guys, I got to. I have to challenge myself because I know that's where the growth comes in, and I do it right here live in front of you. And you know, I think that was a pretty authentic moment of how hard that can be. But that's what it is today, guys, and I can get over that today because now I've built and I'm putting a life together, and that's why I wouldn't let them, you know, medicate me last weekend at the hospital because I'm like, that's the behavior I'm afraid of going back to, and I can't let that happen, and I will take whatever course necessary to keep that from happening, including looking back on situations like that and looking at them in an honest light. I can't climb to where I want to get to tomorrow, guys, if I'm carrying that backpack full of bullshit that I used to carry around for so long. And it's incredibly relieving. I feel great that I just got that off my chest, honestly, for the first time. Guys, it's Saturday. I'm sure everybody's all having a great time. I think we're going to leave the video at that. That is the lesson for today. Honesty is something that comes. First of all, guys, when you get into early recovery, stop the lying. And that's the thing. But you're going to find, as your program goes on, as you start to heal and you become better, it goes way beyond no longer actively lying. But now you got to start looking at the deceptions that you've said, you know, told to yourself for so long, because you want to clear those things up and you want to change that behavior and you want to move on and become a better person and live a better life. And in order to do so, you got to see the patterns of where you were deceiving yourself and stop deceiving yourself. Heal from the things you got to heal, and then move on and make room for something positive in your life. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm so incredibly honored to be able to do so. So incredibly honored to be able to sit there and share that with you guys. So I appreciate each and every one of you so much, guys. Remember, God loves you. I love you. Thank you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow.